are arrested if you don't wear a face mask. So I also witnessed a man outside being ejected from the chambers for apparently not pleasing all the staffers, some of the administrators. I just don't even know anymore. But it's just amazing to me that there's such nannyism going on, and I'm really concerned about the nature of these citations. I mean, if someone ends up getting thrown into jail because they can't afford their municipal court ticket, that doesn't seem like that's going to keep anyone safe. I've requested this information officially from the city. I have not heard back anything yet, so I just would really like to know if there's any answers on these citations that have been giving out, and it's also similar, I think, to this. We're going to go into all the businesses and make sure they do things our way. If there's any answers, I sure would appreciate some answers, Mayor and Council and Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Hold, put your mask on, please.
Yes, sir, I will.
Anyone else? Okay. Chief, I just wanted to say that there was one other aspect to Judge Wolf's order that that may affect our citizens, and that is foreclosures have been suspended by the county. So that was in his recent order, besides closing the parks for Labor Day. Those are the two, that's what the mayors were notified of. I don't know if you
That's
saw
awesome.
that. I just wanted to add that to the discussion.
That's awesome. But we've never included any of those programs in these budget, in these things here. We've never included any of that, so it's great that they have. That's actually been ongoing the whole time. But it's not something that we actually have put up here.
The daily briefings, it's the discrepancy between our city and the state, and that we're lagging behind on the deaths. And so sometimes they'll report, 15 deaths in one day, but it's not that one day, it's from like 2 or 3 weeks before. It's cumulative, and that's what's skewing our numbers, I think. But yeah, they're definitely going up. The deaths are definitely been rising, so.
It's not on our city's reporting, ma'am. It's
No.
San Antonio,
Yeah,
Bear
that's what I
County's
mean.
actually.
Well, and that's what your numbers reflect.
They're
is-
Bear
yeah,
County numbers,
exactly.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then one other comment on Live Oak. I spoke with the mayor last week, and they had their pool open, just an FYI. They've had their pool open since the 1st of June, or first weekend in June, and they just closed it this past weekend. And the mayor said, thank God they had no issues. Nobody got sick. They didn't have an outbreak. She said about the only concern that they had was they had to close the pool because they didn't have enough lifeguards. That would be, their issue. But I just wanted to share that. And I mean, it's just unfortunate. I mean, I'm a swimmer and I haven't been able to swim this summer, and I'm just, and I'd love for the pool to be open, but I don't think it's worth us just opening it up on the weekends for September. So I think we just need to hunker down. We need to get that positivity rate down. It's 11.7%. We need to get it to 5 is what the mayor is saying, Mayor Nuremberg. So anyway, thank you. I
Mayor,
appreciate you.
make a motion, please,
Yes, you may.
that we approve 5.1 as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Rodriguez to approve agenda item 5.1 as presented, which is the emergency declaration. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you. It's about 10 after. Can we move on to agenda 6.2? The budget adjustment?
Before this, you had asked me if I was
Yes.
interested. Yes, I'm
Yes.
still interested in doing four.
You're still interested in light of the motion on whatever, 2.2, you still want to go forth with 6.4? Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so we've got 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4, and Counselor Rodriguez had requested that 6.4 be taken up before the end of the 9:45, and it's now 10 after 9. Is that the counselor's, is that the majority counselor's pleasure is to take 6.4 next?
Yep,
I'm sorry, who was that?
Councilor said yes.
Okay, I didn't know who that was. Counselor Alcacer said yes. Okay, so we have a motion by Counselor Rodriguez and a second by Counselor Alcacer to move agenda 6.4 next. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the motion carries 4 ayes and 1 nay. So let me read that agenda item. Discussion and possible action appointing an attorney not employed by the city and not in active representation of the city as the designated officer for City Charter Section 3.12 hearing on allegations and complaint filed against City Council member. Now, who is going to present this?
Mayor, if I may, I would ask Charlie Zeck to unmute. Mr. Zeck actually came up with 3 different attorneys as possibilities for this based on the request from the council for the last meeting. He gave them to me, I don't remember when, and then he's the one who said, asked that this be put on the agenda.
Okay, so we don't have anything in our packet, so Mr. Zeck, if you'd like to begin, please.
Sure. So there's 3 folks here. I sent an email to the city manager, but there's 3 folks here. Mr. Keith Sizowski, he's out of San Antonio with Branscombe Law. Sheila Gladstone, she's with Lloyd Gosselink out of Austin. And Karen Kennard is an attorney out of Austin as well. I tried to choose somebody that had experience in First Amendment issues, because that seems to be where the complaint lies with respect to perhaps speech, but also because, and then someone who also has experience in employment law, because it's very comparable with respect to the issues. Mr. Sizkowski is very experienced in both First Amendment and constitutional rights. He's represented governmental entities in various lawsuits. His normal billing rate is $4.25 an hour. However, the firm authorizes government rate at $3.35 an hour. He's in San Antonio. He's board certified in employment law by the Texas Labor and Employment Law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. Sheila Gladstone is Lloyd Gosselink, also just as experienced as Mr. Sizowski in those areas of law. She's just out of Austin. Her billable rate is at 1/10 of an hour, and it is at $3.25 an hour. Then Karen Kennard is actually a pure municipal lawyer. She was city attorney for the city of Austin for quite a while, 11 years as a matter of fact. She worked for the Texas Municipal League for 15 years. So she's much more experienced in municipal law, generally speaking, as opposed to the other 2 lawyers. Although her billable rate is higher than the others at $400 an hour, and she also bills at 1/10 of an hour increments. And so I just brought 3 folks for council to consider, and you're free to choose from the 3 or ask them to go out and try to find somebody else. Quite honestly, because of the requirements that you have, that they not be currently engaged with the city and the complex issues, I'll be honest, we're running out of experienced municipal lawyers who we can bring on for these types of issues that are located in the area.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zeck, I had a question about the 2 attorneys that are out of Austin. In addition to their billable rates, what do they charge for travel?
I'm sorry?
What do they charge for travel since they're coming
I
from
did not
Austin?
inquire into that question, but my guess would be, like most lawyers, they bill full travel time because that's time spent towards working for the client, even though it's not directly, doing research.
Okay.
but
So,
I can inquire, but that's my guess.
so you're saying that it would be, if it was a 2-hour, or maybe they got stuck in traffic for 3 hours, it would still be at the full rate of $3.25 an hour or $400 an hour, is that correct?
Yeah, I can't speak for them,
I
but that would
understand.
be my assumption.
All right. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. And had any, one of these three had any experience in 312 hearings at a city?
Well, quite honestly, probably not even Karen Kennard, who's been doing this for
Mhm.
30 years, would be my guess, because, I mean, it's just not something that many lawyers, quite honestly, are engaged in. It's fairly specialized, with respect to charters. However, all of these lawyers are experienced in dealing with investigations, complaints against employees, ensuring due process, making sure compliance with process, and giving legal advice on, what the parameters of negative consequences could be given any situation with respect to constitutional limitations. That's why I chose them.
Okay. And you know all three of these people personally, is what I'm understanding.
No, I do not.
Oh, you do not?
The only person I know personally is
Uh-huh.
Karen M. Kennard. I know
Okay.
Karen Kennard. Her and I served on the Texas Municipal League Board of, not Texas Municipal League, the Texas City Attorneys Association's
Okay.
Board of Directors together.
Okay.
And I've known her for 20 years.
Okay.
But the other two, Mr. Sizowski and Ms. Gladstone, I've done work with lawyers in Ms. Gladstone's firm, but I do not know her personally. And I've done work with lawyers in the Branscombe law firm out of the Austin office, but I do not know Mr. Sizowski personally either.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just thought I'd ask. All right. I know I started
I have a
asking
question,
questions before
Mayor.
asking the citizens, but let's go ahead and finish here. Yes, Counselor Alcacer, go ahead.
Mr. Zek, I didn't hear what you said. Mr. Sazowski's, his hourly rate went to $3.35, but what was his billable, to the 10th of an hour or different?
Yes, ma'am, 10th of an hour.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Before I get any other comments from the city councilman, let me go back to our citizens. I apologize. I started asking questions without asking you if you had any questions, or comments. So if you'll please come forth and state your name and where you reside. Go ahead, Mr. Martinez.
I find it, Vinnie Martinez,
Yes,
Senate
sir.
Captain, sorry, Mayor. I find it very, very interesting. Now, they want to hire an attorney that's not employed by the city nor active representation in the city. Last year in my 312 hearing, Brian Henry declared that he could serve as both functions, even though he was the investigating attorney. And nobody was concerned last year about my First Amendment rights, and now you are? What's changed? Why was it okay to violate my First Amendment and my Fourth Amendment rights? And why was it okay for you to continue with Brian Henry when everybody knows that it was against the procedures for the 312 hearing? Now you want to do it right? Where's my rights in this matter? Think about it. Think about it, what you guys have done to me.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. And who's next? Mr. Mata? Yes, sir. If you'll come forward, please. Thank you. And state your name and where you reside, and you have up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Eric Mata, Canterfield. I took note of something in this last item. I find it really interesting how early on in the meeting, Mayor, you had brought up the issue of citizens to be heard and the fact that there had always been 2 citizens to be heard. And you got an objection from Councilwoman Donna Charles about wasting money on legal fees. And here you go. Again, we see,
become just a trend. We're gonna be facing hundreds of thousands of dollars involving these various 312s and investigations that I'm sure we're facing. And yet, the hypocrisy to see a council, an elected official, whining about an issue that had to deal with citizens being hurt. I just thought that was very ironic. And again, as we've spoken to deaf ears here on the dais for the most part, the citizens find themselves at the bottom. You guys never listen. You do as you please, and that was a prime example of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bowl. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Council. Evan Bolt for Stokes Canterfield. Ramblings of off-topic subjects aside, what bothers me is that it took someone who has been sitting here recently and witnessing everything that's going on, and it took a different mindset to really nail down what it was that we needed, and it's sad to be considered a specialization of sorts to be dealing with this matter, as it seems to be commonplace with us now. But you cannot demonize, you cannot attack, and you cannot even chastise how the price tag of someone like that who isn't, barely in the area, but has no connection to the city or its associates whatsoever, with regard to Mr. Zeck's one other association, Ms. Kennard, whom by the price tag was the most expensive, but she has the most resume based off of his presentation, dealing with a city many, many, many tens of times bigger than ourselves. And I think that one of these three would serve the purpose we need, and that if given the chance and led properly, even though they are more expensive, we can get this done in a timely manner, so it's not that big of a waste. And really, we don't have to spend this much money if, now that when caught, resignation is the point of this. Resignation is the idea. So we're not having to waste money, we're not having to go through frivolous lawsuits with these attorneys post-ousting, post-hearings, post-anything. Investigation wasn't even required, found to be caught, and fighting back only shows that you're unwilling to let go of your power versus, and wounded the citizens by costing them $80,000+ or more in post-ousting lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? Mr. Stevens?
Josh Stevens, Forest Oaks, Canterfield area. Resignation is the key. If you did something wrong, Mr. Bradshaw, in my opinion, did nothing wrong. He exercised his constitutional rights. He donated to Olin Yarnell's legal defense fund, which I did as well. And I think that anybody in our community that cares about victims of bogus crimes would donate to Olin Yarnell's defense fund. So I don't want to get too far off track, but Mr. Bradshaw did not do anything that deserves a 312 in the first place. And so I realize that you can't talk to the council because you don't really get listened to anyways. So I'm going to talk to the citizens real quickly. And I'm just going to say that if you're tired of this crap, and if you're tired of elected leaders undoing your vote. Make sure you go vote in November.
Mayor, point of order, this is off topic.
Okay, Mr., it's about the attorney that they want to hire, they have 3 of them.
So make sure you go vote for somebody that promises to you.
Mayor, point of order, has nothing to do with the attorney.
Yes, it actually does. So,
Okay, wait,
so
Mr. Mr. Stevens, make sure it ties back to the attorney.
can you let me, can I get out a couple of words so I can actually say my point? I understand you're very defensive right now.
Okay, wait a minute, let's not go back and forth, because we do have a citizen speak heard hopefully at the end of the hour, if you want to.
Can I refer my time?
I'll give you 30 seconds more,
Okay, thank you.
since we got interrupted.
So,
Keep it on point, please.
So make sure that you vote for somebody who you aren't gonna have to hire an attorney with for a 312. Like, it's as clear, it's as simple as that. And, you know, come November, make sure that your elected leaders are unwilling to cancel your votes for dumb reasons, and then you won't have to ever hire an attorney for a 312 hearing. Like, let the real court decide that, where there's a real impartial jury of 12 people. That's the way the United States is. It's not sham political hearings. That shouldn't be the thing. So, everybody, I hope you go vote in November.
Okay,
I won't,
thank you.
you won't have to go through this if you vote for me.
Okay. Yeah, that was really off topic, but, okay. Who else? Yes. Mr. Pulliam, have you spoken on this agenda item yet? I can't remember. Okay, I don't think so. That's right. I usually write down everybody's name, so, yes, and again, keep it on topic, please. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Fort Bend County, Texas. So, I do appreciate, Councilman Bradshaw and, future Councilman, Josh Stevens, for their support of the people who are trying to make things better in Leon Valley. Legal fees cost a lot of money, no matter which side it is. And I wonder here, when I listen to the city attorney, recommend other city attorneys, is the council hiring someone to assist with an administrative hearing? Or are they wanting to hire the most highly paid prosecutor that they can, prosecuting to remove a sitting councilman? Has the council even gone to executive session to meet with the contracted city attorney during all this to maybe talk about ways they could lessen their legal liability, the amount of money that's going to be spent on lawsuits? I forgot the attorneys are who actually win at the end of the day on all this. Why does it take such an expensive attorney to do a little proceeding? Why do they even need to have the proceeding? I would be against this. In fact, let me state, Mayor, I am opposed to this item. I'm obviously opposed to the whole process, but I don't think the council should be hiring an attorney right now. I thought perhaps earlier in the meeting I had some confidence there might be another route that the council is going to take. Obviously not. That was just a charade, I guess. $400 an hour? I mean, come on. Is it like they're worried that, because I remember I did tell the city council and administration that I would support anyone who Savaggio and Kunstler's establishment attacked, and certainly I will support Bradshaw. And I guess is it that y'all are already working on trying to hire a really, really good attorney to get in some hundreds of thousands of dollars legal fight, that at the end, the people are always the victims, because the people are the ones paying for all of it, the tax, the defense. So I hope this can be tabled for right now, maybe forever, maybe until after November. If I recall correctly, Councilman Bradshaw is actually the only one up here who's both elected and serving the real consecutive 2-year calendar term of his office out of everyone here. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Please vote to table ordinance this. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Yes. Mr. Genesis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I apologize, I guess I got confused earlier. I thought this was going to mediation, and now all of a sudden we're talking about hiring an attorney. So I'm confused. I really thought that we had grown. I guess is a good word for it. You know, I think it's a mistake to hire an attorney. that that's reason for removal. And I don't think that that's the direction the city should be going.
Okay, thank you. All right. So there's no other comments from any of our citizens and visitors in our chambers. I'll bring it back to the council. Is there any additional questions, comments on this agenda item, number 4? Yes, Council Branch. Council Branch.
Yeah, so, thank you, Mayor. I think it was a kind of a sad statement, actually, that we're running out of attorneys. We're a small city, and we can't find an attorney who hasn't worked for Leon Valley before. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent on these legal fees. This is not what the citizens want. The whole idea that the charter can be used to throw out an elected official. I mean, every one of the council members campaigned against me. Again, they campaigned for my competitor when I was running for council. So, and now they're gonna be my jurors on the 312 hearing. It just doesn't, talk about not having an impartial jury, right? And due process. But yeah, it doesn't matter who we hire, and if that's what the council's gonna do, I would say just go with the cheapest one, because the decision's already been made. And the other point is, a couple of people talked about it, but resignation. You've been caught, resign. No, we have to do a 312 hearing because you won't resign. That is an answer. If the rest of the council wants to resign, then I'm all for it. Go ahead, all of you resign. As it's been pointed out, 2 of you have voted to extend your terms, shouldn't have been in term right now, and 2 have been up for recall, voted to extend their recall. There's a good chance that none of the council would be here right now if they hadn't voted to extend the election to November. And now they want to use this extra time that they've given themselves to oust me. And it's just ridiculous. And I would say, I haven't even been provided the allegations against me. What are the allegations that I broke, that I did? And they're skipping an investigation. Why? Because guess what? Clock's ticking. 60 days to the election. So they've got to hurry up and get this through before the election, or else there's a good chance they're gone and I'm buried. That's the issue. Let's be real. Thank you.
Well, one thing I heard was, just to table this until maybe we have our mediation, and then bring it back if we can't resolve anything in that mediation. In the spirit of what the council moved on earlier in the meeting, I appreciate that suggestion from several citizens. So I just would like to add that. Anyone else? Councilor Rodriguez, Councilor Hody, or the 2 councilors online? Yes, Councilor Charles.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay. Did you want to say something before that? Yes, may I have Mr. Hody speak, Councilor Hody speak first before you make that motion? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Hody. Councilor Hody.
So I just want to make a statement that, first of all, as city council members, mayor, we can't just do arbitrarily what we want to do or act in certain ways. I'm just, generally speaking, we can't do that. I'm not pointing out anybody, any one person. Certainly I can, and I hope that I wouldn't, and if I did, I, admit it, apologize. If we hire an attorney, and I don't know if this is a question for Mr. Zeck or whom, if we choose an attorney this evening, does that automatically mean that we're moving forward? I don't know where to look when I'm talking to Mr. Zach. Does that automatically mean that we're moving forward with the 312, or does that just mean we've hired an attorney, and then at whatever point we decide to proceed or not proceed, then we can do as much? But if we,
Yes, sir, that's how I understand the process is supposed to work. Before you can do anything, you need to, if you're gonna have someone assist with the process, which I highly recommend, you need to make that designation first. The ordinance says that in the event the respondent is a member of the city council or the city manager, the designated officer shall be an attorney or law firm which is not employed by the city and does not have any active representation of the city in order to promote neutrality in the process and disinterested investigator. The city council shall ensure the designated officer has sufficient qualifications and experience in municipal or employment matters to fulfill the obligations of the role. And it was on that basis that I tried to find at least 3 folks to bring to you. And it's my understanding that that's the first step in any process. It doesn't mean a hearing is going to take place. This person is supposed to assist you in giving you legal advice on how the process is supposed to move forward, including giving legal advice about any potential allegations that you believe should be brought forward and that Mr. Bradshaw should be given notice of, which he's entitled to also under the ordinances, under this ordinance. So that's a long answer to essentially yes, this is just the first step in a process.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, sir.
All right, Counselor Charles.
Yes, I make a motion that we move forward by hiring Keith, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name again.
I believe it's Sizkowski.
Saskowski.
Mr. Zach, would you please spell his last name?
Yes, ma'am. S as in Sam, I, E, C as in Charles, Z as in zebra, O, W, S as in Sam, K, I.
Thank you.
And he's with the law firm of Branscombe?
Branscombe Law, yes, ma'am.
Branscombe,
Law.
yeah, okay.
The San Antonio office.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, so Ms. Charles, I apologize, I just wanted to be sure to get his name down right. And if you'll continue, you said you moved to hire Keith Zakowski, Ransom Law, as the designated officer.
Yes, that's my motion.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Counselor Charles, and we have a second by Counselor Alcacer to move to hire Keith Zakowski with the law firm of Branscombe Law here in San Antonio as the designated officer for the city charter section 3.12 hearing on the allegations against Mr. Bradshaw.
Mary?
Yes.
May I? Usually it's
Any
been,
further discussion? Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, usually it's, I need something in there to say, to allow the city manager to authorize or execute the contract. So that just I can sign it. I realize I can do that.
Okay, and we'll add to allow to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Keith Zakowski with Branscombe Law. Is that better? Okay. All those in favor say, any further discussion? Yes, any further discussion? I've got Mr. Hody and I've got Mr. Bradshaw that want to speak. So, Mr. Hody, go ahead.
I'm just going to repeat that my preference is to meet, not so much that we're going to, oh, okay, well then everything's fine, we're going to do this, or we're not going to do this, but just come to some kind of a council understanding about how everyone is feeling about what's going on. I'm talking about good feelings or bad, I'm just talking about overall. So that's what I would like to do first ASAP. I mean, like tomorrow, next day, whenever we can get it. And then after that point, do whatever we need to do.
Okay, so did I hear you say you'd rather have the mediation first before you hire the 312 designated officer?
That's my preference.
Yes, sir. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. All right. And Mr. Bradshaw?
So I do have a question. I know it's $335 per hour, but if we vote to allow the city manager to enter into a contract with this attorney, isn't there a retainer agreement or something that we have to pay something upfront, or once we say yes, we're going to hire him, we have to pay something, or is it only per hour based?
It's only per hour, sir. They did not mention a retainer in their conversation with me. So it'd be, do the work, and then they bill you, and then you pay them.
So for Mr. Cody's point, if decide not to move forward, there would be no cost like this. If we,
That's correct, yes, sir. I mean, if the lawyer doesn't do any work, you wouldn't be charged any fees.
Okay. Okay, so. But
So
just,
we can get them, and we can still appoint them, and, that's impetus to get the other action done, and then, revert back to this, at least we have them there and available.
I don't know if that's directed to me, but that would be appropriate, yes, ma'am.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we still have a motion and a second on the table to hire Keith Zakowski from Branscombe Law. From a motion, I believe the motion was from Counselor Charles and the second was from Counselor Alcacer. And if there's no further discussion, then Ms. Bosley, if you'll please call the roll.
Counselor Donna Charles?
Yes.
Counselor Catherine Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Monica Alcacer?
Yes,
Counselor Matthew Hody?
Yes.
And Counselor Will Bradshaw?
no, because I do not want to waste any more taxpayer dollars.
Okay. All right, the motion carries 4 ayes and 1 nay. All right. So, at this point, we are not going to start another agenda item. We're going to move to adjourn. Yes.
I believe what it said was you would not start any more items after 9:45. So I think you still have time for one more item.
Okay, so which one more do y'all want? The number 2? I guess we'll just go with the number 2. 6.2.
Sandra's telling me that hers does not have to go right now, that she can do it the first and second meeting in September, so I can do 6.3.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and do that one. That'll be the last agenda item. 6.3, discussion and possible, y'all are, I'm talking, this is 9:44. Discussion and possible action on request for 2020 candidate form by the ECHO. And we have Ms. Kunstler here to present. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just make that note.
Okay, I guess my thing is not attached, so I'm gonna have to go by memory. James with the Helotes Echo would like to do a virtual meet with the candidates forum. And what is the date, James? Because I'm going off the top of my head now.
October 15th is what it says in the packet.
Okay, October 15th, which is the day before early voting. And
Early voting's October 13th.
October 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's October 15th, James? Okay, so it is October 15th. I thought it was before early voting. So October 15th, he would like to do a virtual forum for the city council candidates, for the two places that are up for election, which is the place 2 and place 4, I think. And there would be, he had originally asked for the conference center. However, because it would only have 4 people present, we discussed with him using the Leon Valley Fire Department training room, and then he could just film it in there. I thought that the Echo had done forums in the past, but Mayor Riley informed me that they had not, so that was actually my error, and so I actually was gonna just put this on the consent agenda. I didn't know
Not
that.
sponsored by the city of Leon Valley, is that, he wants sponsorship?
Well, people use the training room.
That would be a sponsorship.
And since it's only 4, we've let other people use the training room. And so just wanted to present that idea to the council and see if there was interest in having the virtual forum. And the way James presented it to us was that he was going to do through the Echo a poll to the citizens, determining what was important to the citizens, and then he would base his questions on citizen input and what was important to them.
But this is in addition to the League of Women Voters, which
That's
this
correct, so
council's
you
already
would have
passed.
2, exactly, that's right. There would be 2 forums
Okay.
instead of 1.
All right. All right, so before we open it up for questions from the council, we'll open it up for comments from our citizens that are here this evening. Thank you. And of course, Mr. Lee is here. Do we have any questions for Mr. Lee? Okay, good evening and welcome.
Good evening again, Council and Mayor. I thought we had already made a determination that we're gonna go with the League of Women Voters. We denied Mr. Bowles from doing one, and it's not fair and equitable that we allow somebody else to do it when we deny our own citizen on doing one. As you mentioned in the last time we took a vote, that you felt that one was good enough. I don't mind if he sends us questions and we answer them and he puts them on the Echo, but I don't think it's fair and equitable to Mr. Bowles that we deny him from having one and having the other, that doesn't even live in Leon Valley, to have one. Like I said, I don't mind talking to the citizens, I don't mind going to debate, I don't mind going to a forum, but I don't think it's fair and equitable to Mr. Bowles being denied and him getting one.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Yes, next is Mr. Mott. Good evening and welcome.
Eric Mata, Canterfield. Yeah, my concerns with this, I mean, we spent a good amount of time on this in the last regular council meeting. I'm not sure if there's a precedent for doing 2 candidate forums. Seems a little odd. I kind of wonder, personally, I wonder what's behind that. And I will say this, and I have nothing against Mr. Lee. I spent approximately 20 to 30 minutes speaking to him at a playoff high school football game between Brandeis and Austin Westlake at the Alamo Dome, which he was covering. And, you know, I didn't know much about the Helotes Echo. I didn't know if there was various journalists or if it was just a one-man operation or what at that time. But I came away from that conversation honestly being pretty disturbed by his clear bias against Mr. Martinez, against you, the mayor. He said you had been serving way too long, and it was time for you to move on. I actually appreciated his candor, but now that I think about it, and we're in this position, a so-called journalist holding a debate, forum, whatever you want to call it, who I perceive as having clear biases, and I personally would not trust to be fair. I don't see that being necessary. I think the same reasons I came up and addressed Mr. Bull's bias relate to my concerns with Mr. Lee as well. And I do understand as well, he also relies on employment from the city of Leon Valley to publish ordinances and and he receives a monthly fee. And again, this is not new, I've alluded to this in the past. You know, Ms. Kunstler signs this check monthly. And I just feel that it's just a little too close for comfort, not trusting in that situation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Stevens? Okay, thank you and welcome back.
Thank you, Josh Stevens from Forest Oaks. Similar to Eric, I share a couple of concerns, and it has primarily to do with the interaction that I had with Mr. Lee at the beginning of this year, outside of these council chambers, when he was discussing his strong opinions about some postcards that had gone out by a group of citizens, and said how they shouldn't have this writing, and they shouldn't have this writing, and they shouldn't have this writing. And then he also referenced the fact that Benny Martinez deserved to be kicked off the council, and he said a couple of negative comments about yourself, Mayor, and I find it concerning just because, you know, that's not the type of person that I would think would run a fair, impartial debate. He hasn't, you know, it's not toward me or about me or anything, but it's nonetheless a cause for concern. And another thing that I kind of noticed as I saw this agenda item was that the Helotes Echo, you know, the Change Leon Valley project has done a lot of unprecedented things in the city of Leon Valley, conquered a lot of, you know, large barriers and obstacles, and the first recall petition successfully signed by, you know, over 1,600 registered voters. And I know that Mr. Lee or the Helotes Echo email was given press releases, but he did not do a single story on those unprecedented events that occurred in Leon Valley. Not a single story. But he has done a story about the ethics complaint against you, Mayor. He's done a couple of other stories. So nonetheless, I think he has every right to hold a debate. And I would probably participate in. I firmly don't believe that he should be allowed to use city resources, city property, without paying the proper amounts, or, you know, if the city pays for advertising of this event, I don't think that's right. And so I would definitely have to probably file an ethics complaint just for that. So anyway, thanks for hearing me out.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Vold.
Thank you, Mayor Council, Evan Bowl, Forest Oaks, Stanfield. It struck me as odd that this item came on the agenda after the council had already made its decision. But what is even more striking is that the very same, nothing different was said about another individual that was said about myself. Like I said earlier, it was not given the proper opportunity to assuage the concerns of a few. And we speak of bias when I have been claimed to have a great deal of bias against several behind me and in front of me, and yet I put them to the side when I come up to this podium and speak fairly, factually, and for others, and not for myself. And yet, when we have candidates speaking about whom they wish to have a debate posed for them, they fail to mention how their attempts to illegally and unethically influence one of those planned events, how they use their own biases and their own twisted reasons to put one event down over the other. And so while it was interesting to see such reception, it is sad to see that not even another would-be well received press individual is given such reception by the citizens, at the behest of, I'm sure, a few council members, as well as the citizens themselves. When in the beginning, it was the citizens who wanted to get the answers from council members on who they thought was gonna be best, when it was the citizens who were willing to put aside anything they've heard to have simple questions asked in a very fair manner. And in the end, an outside organization who doesn't even know dispassionately what's going on in Leon Valley, on a dispassionate level, what's going on, and that they themselves can unilaterally choose which questions, if any, to ask other council members who are going to lead us. So that is just my comments and my thoughts on the matter, and it is disheartening to know the length some will go to get into office and to deny such transparency to us citizens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Bosley, Mr. Lee, did you want to say something? And I do have a email to read as well, but go ahead. Good evening and welcome, Mr. Lee. If you'll state your name and where you live.
James Lee, San Antonio.
Okay, there you go.
I guess I'm going to, number one, I never asked that the city of Leon Valley sponsor this event. And I think it's important that the city of Leon Valley not sponsor this event for lots of reasons. I think that it's important that we present an opportunity for the citizens, and I mean all citizens, to provide input into the questions. There are some issues that I think this community feels strongly about. Some positive, some negative, who knows, who cares. But I think that we have listened, and I can certainly say that I have been here for a long period of time listening to all of this. All the way back from the first 312 hearing. Being a poli-sci major, I scratched my head as this process unfolded. Being an advocate for free and representative government, I think it's important that we present questions in a way that everyone can hear. The reason that I wanted to do a virtual candidates forum is because that we have some community members that are not going to feel comfortable coming into a building. We have some community members that because of their health, they should not be traveling out to large groups. But we have the way now with technology where we can put the information inside everybody's homes and laps. And I think that's important. And I think that we should ask questions whether it's going to upset or not upset people. But hearing it tonight, right here in this room, people have expressed that they have concerns, they have comments, and they have questions about what they want as the future of Leon Valley. That needs to be presented, and all 4 members, and actually, Mayor, you would be included in that because you are running for re-election the last time I checked. I think it's important that all 5 of those candidates express how they feel, what they believe, and how the direction of Leon Valley should go. Now, if you ask me what some of my personal opinions are, I'll tell you. But I have never put those personal opinions in print. Just like I have some feelings about COVID right now, but I sat down and did a 3-part series with Northside about the preparations that they were doing to keep the kids safe and the community safe for that education. That information is more important than anything that I might believe, or quite frankly, anybody else in this room might believe. It is important that we have a society and a community where people can express their opinions, express their beliefs, and have it so that everybody can hear it. That's why I wanted to do the candidates forum.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and read this from Tina Chasen regarding the candidates forum. I'm here to protest as the ECHO receives money. The gentleman receives money from Leon Valley. It's a conflict of interest. He cannot be impartial, and he has shown in the past his alliance to the city manager and others on the council. Respectfully, Tina Chasen. Okay. So, there's no other input from our citizens and visitors in the chambers, we'll move it back now to the counselors. It's getting late, 10 o'clock. Mr. Bradshaw, if you'll continue, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So I can understand a little bit why Ms. Kensler was under the impression that the ECHO had hosted debates in the past, or for candidate forums. And part of that is because when I ran for city council a little over a year and a half ago, or about a year and a half ago, I received an email from Mr. Lee asking a series of questions to answer for the candidates, and all the candidates supposedly received the same questions. And so I wrote my answers to the questions and sent them back to Mr. Lee. And lo and behold, an article comes out in the Helotes Echo, and he framed the questions in a manner which to me is very misleading. Was saying that, you know, Councilman Jordan said this, to which Mr. Bradshaw responded this. And he wrote the article as if we were sitting in a room having a debate or a discussion, which is, like I said, very misleading and, you know, just not what happened. And I think there was bias in that article. If you want to go back and read it, you'll probably double the readership. But fortunately, not that many people read it, and I ended up winning. But to be able to put stuff out there online that, you know, that could affect the outcome of the election and that includes bias, I just think is the wrong thing to do. And we already have a, you know, Mr. Lee's not a 501c3, he's not a nonprofit, he has a dog in the game, where he's got interest in the outcome of the election. So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on council have a comment or a question regarding this agenda item? Okay. I see no one raising their hands or unmuting themselves, so what is the pleasure of the council on this agenda item? Mr. Hody?
I apologize, Mayor, I just had another comment.
Oh, yes, go ahead, right
I
ahead.
apologize.
No apologies necessary.
I don't believe that Mr. Bowl or Mr. Lee, if they ran a debate or a forum rather, would run it in a biased manner. I just don't think that they would. It's not the type of people they strike me as, although I've spoken with both of them, but not in any great length. It seems to me that in the interest of what appears to be fair, that maybe it would be in the best interest to do as Mr. Orozco said, and, you know, have a series of questions that can be answered and placed in the echo. I think that sort of thing has happened before with other periodicals. Anyway, that's kind of what my thought is on this, although I think it'd be apparent, the bias would be apparent if that's what actually occurred at the forum. And I don't think that it would.
Okay, so did I hear you say that you were for questions to be submitted to the candidates versus a virtual forum? Conducting a virtual forum is what I would say.
Yes, that's what I said,
All
basically.
right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Weigh in on that? Okay, well, I don't see a motion. I don't hear a motion. So, am I saying we're just gonna pass on this agenda item and not take action? Okay. That's what we'll do. All right, I'm sorry, Mr., yes, we have somebody else that wants to speak?
No, ma'am, but, could I get a motion to table all the other items to 9-1? But before you do that, I see we've lost a counselor.
We lost a counselor?
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm seeing that right, so we can vote with who's not there.
I'm also to see if she's coming back in again, and she accidentally got disconnected.
So, just let me make a note then on, 6.3, there's no action, based on council. And, may we have a motion to, table to the next meeting, which is 9/1/2020, 3.7, 6.5, 7.1, 8, and of course 9 and 10. I would, for that motion, but I would like to make a request because we have not heard from the council and we haven't heard from the manager in 2 meetings now. So if we could move that to the top of the hour.
You missed 6.2, and there also needs to.
Oh, thank you. 6.2, you bet. 6.2. Okay, let's go back. So we have 3.7, 6.2, 6.5, 7, 8, and of course citizens to be heard at the top and the bottom of the hour. Okay. So if we can have a motion to move those to the September 1st meeting, but with the stipulation that we put the city manager's report and the announcements by the mayor and council at the top of the meetings, because we've missed them twice now. Yes, go ahead.
I
Mr.
so
Rodriguez.
move.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Rodriguez and a second by Councilor Bradshaw to move those agenda items as presented or as stated. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry.
And I just want to make note,
Yes,
Ms.
yes.
Charles did not come back on for that vote.
Okay, so the motion carries then 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Okay, very good. So if there's no further, I guess abstention, I don't know. Anyway, if there's no further objection, then we move to adjourn the meeting tonight, which is August 18th at approximately 7 minutes after 10. Thank you all very much. Good evening, and we stand adjourned.
Y'all stay tuned, everybody.
Thank you for, yes, sir, for, speaking up for the homeless, and their ability to get some literature. I teach English, and you're spot on.
What's your name?
Alex. Genesek.
Alex?
Yes,
Alex
sir.
what?
Genesek.
Genesek. Good to meet you, Alex. I'll give you a card.
Yeah.
Sure, like
I think that was just really, spot on that you speak up for.
All right, is anyone
less
still
fortunate.
there?
I try and do that myself.
So, looks
and,
like 600 people.
I'm glad that you were able to catch that and get it. I hope that they bring it up, on our next agenda.
If they don't, we will.
Thanks.
All right, cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Andrew Morgan, Political Trans Tribune.
After we get past these officers.
I'm a civil rights auditor.
So what were you getting a picture of? I think we've read a little.
Be legendary.
North side?
I'll walk up behind you.
Yeah, my teacher. So.
All right, good to meet you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, sir.
You bet. See you next time. The ongoing Leon Valley saga.
Man, I was hoping just for a split second that something positive was gonna happen, and maybe we could do the mediation thing, this could get, and they just proved that it's.
Yeah, they didn't table that item because of the discussion earlier. They just moved right on through the item.
Yeah, it's, the corruption just
Yeah.
seems
We're live here, by the way, guys.
We are live here. Yes, we are live. Say hello to YouTube. Oh, you already did.
I'm glad that Josh said those things earlier. So I don't think I've told you this yet, but what's going on in Alabama? So, Benny filed a complaint against her, and I requested a copy of that, her complaint and her response.
I have a couple of interviews out front.
Which, by the way, they say.
Yeah, I tried to.
Just I'm gonna give you my card. I'm Andrew Morgan, Political Trans-Tribune.
Oh, cool. Cool. Hey, I think we're gonna try to walk out together.
Yes, we are. Here you go. Share, like, and subscribe.
Everybody knows my phone number.
I really do.
Let me put it this way. And I will say it right here with Benny up front. Because he and I both go to the same church.
Yeah.
When I wrote the article about the 312 hearing, people inside his Sunday school class read it and looked at me and said I was fair and unbiased. Now, if you ask me, Josh, and if you get elected, and I hope you do, because I have no dog in this hunt whatsoever. You pull me aside and say, James, what do you think about this is? Off the record, I'll tell you anything you want to know. I'll tell you what I'm thinking, I'll tell you what I've heard, and I'll put it there. But when I sit down and I write an article or I go to do something about the news, that doesn't come into every staff writer that I've ever employed. I have told them up front, you are not allowed to have an opinion. The only one that gets to have an opinion is me, and that's when I write an editorial. And you'll damn sure know when it's an editorial.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that we're allowed to have an opinion. Now, I know mainstream media right now doesn't follow that same philosophy. I was reading an article tonight about the coronavirus thing, and the whole speculation and everything that's put inside there is not right. You stick to the facts, you go straight down the line with what is there, and that's what you do. And you try to put both sides in it. The best thing you can. I understand that you wanted me to do the press releases about the recall. Was not the appropriate time. And the reason I say that it's not the appropriate time is because it was going to become an election issue, just like it is, because it's on the ballot. At that point in time, we need to sit down with everybody and say, okay, why do you think these two people should be recalled? And you're going to have good reasons for it.
Yeah.
They're going to have some answers as to why they think they shouldn't be recalled. My job is to put both of those out there and then let the citizens of Leon Valley read that and decide which way they want to go.
Yeah.
Not my job to try to persuade them one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty, and I hope it didn't seem like we're technical.
They've had something up there.
I hope you know that you're playing on, because I will, if I really have to go to the because I really definitely participate. I get worried about, and there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things I feel like are setups these days, and it could just, it could be even correct or maybe correct.
What I
But
had
I don't
hoped that
walk
we
into
were
a
going
setup.
to, what I had hoped, and the way that I envisioned this, number one, I never asked the city to sponsor.
I know, I read your email, like, just at the end there, and I was like, okay.
I didn't ask for that, and I don't think it would have been appropriate for me to ask the city to sponsor, because that automatically takes people that have some question about whether this is fair or unbiased, and it throws it out the window.
Yeah.
So the city should never have been attached to it at all. My process in going into this was one to put up a call for questions, where everybody can submit their questions. I don't care what they're like, I don't care what they say. Then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to put some rationality and logic to this and come up with, okay, obviously we know one of the questions that's going to be very important is, do we go back to a home rule or do we stay, general law, or do we stay with a home rule charter?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
That's gotta be a given.
Yeah.
And every candidate should be able to speak to that.
Yeah.
Then one of the questions that we're going to have is the city manager role of government the best form of government that the city of Leon Valley should have? Now, I could see some candidates coming up and saying, absolutely, this is the way it should be. I see some candidates that are going, no, I think that we can have a hybrid of the situation, or where maybe, yes, the city manager form of government works as long as it works the way that it's supposed to. Meaning, we give direction to the city manager and she carries out that direction.
Yeah,
And Mr.
Well,
Blackmore?
yeah, and I appreciate, and I think you would get an answer like, I have faith that you would try to execute to the best of your ability.
The reason
So I'm glad you went up and spoke to.
The only reason I wanted the 4 candidates, well 5 if we count Chris, even though she's running unopposed, I still think she needs to be able to speak. But the reason that I only wanted those 5 candidates in there is because, number one, I think it will be the most candid that they're going to be.
Yeah.
And also because there's nobody in the room for them to perform to. So this is a very time for us to get a very intimate interaction between the candidates so that they can put it out there and say, I think this is the best direction for Neon Valley. Because I think that's what everybody in Neon Valley wants to hear.
Yeah.
They're tired of getting bombarded with this, they're tired of getting bombarded with this. They want to hear out of the candidate's own mouth, this is where Leon Valley should go. And this is why I am the best person to send it that way.
Yeah, right. I get that.
Well, to be honest, I don't know.
I'll participate. Just, do you have my email? So you can.
But I honestly suspected that this was something to do with this.
No.
I mean,
That's what
kinda
I
wish
thought
we
too.
would've known that
No.
before. You gotta understand why we're kind of on edge.
I get it, and that's one of the reasons why when she said the city would sponsor it, I'm like, no, I don't want the city to sponsor it.
Please do know that I respect
Yeah.
you are.
I
can see where this
really,
could be beneficial.
Yeah,
It's the only- and-
I think it's better than. See, I'm not a big fan of the forum from what, it seems like it's not, it's kind of canned, and it's.
well, and my concern that I have about, and this is no shade to the League of Women Voters, none whatsoever. But my concern is if we have people that call in and start asking questions, I'm afraid we're going to send this down a rabbit hole. And at the end of the night, everybody is going to step back and go, damn it, I'll get to the answer to my question. I'm just as confused now as I was when we went in. My goal is to try to keep this limited to 10 questions. We have 10 straightforward questions. Every candidate gets a copy of the questions before this thing happens. So you already know the questions that I'm going to ask, so you can already have talking points established.
No one's getting these questions earlier than anyone else.
Everybody gets it at the same time. In fact, you'll know because when the email goes out, everybody's name is on there. So you'll know when it went out, you'll know everybody is there. You can create your talking points, and my job is not to correct your talking points. This is your opportunity as a candidate to express your opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I think if I feel
Mayor.
and again, I think he had
Thank you
expressed
for all
this,
you
but,
did.
See y'all soon.
You're making me feel a lot more comfortable about it. But I think that that we'll have I have people that are interested in my campaign will follow as well. And we'll have to set up our links and stuff like that. But
I'm
I think
smelling
that
some good food. Where does that smell
I
coming
think it's
from?
very important that the voters.
I have no idea.
And that we answer whatever the hell they want to know.
There's nothing around here.
But I just hope,
Well,
I don't want to get set up.
there's a barbecue place, but they're
Josh, the
closed.
other thing too, with all of you getting the questions, if you feel that a question is a little slighted or something, then all you have to do is respond back and say, hey, James, can you consider the wording of that question? And I have no problem sitting down and tweaking it and sending it back and saying, okay, we comfortable with this.
Yeah.
But I want questions that are very pointed where both candidates can say, hey, look. And we may find at the end of the day, when it's all done, that maybe there's not that much difference between one candidate or the other. Or we may find that this candidate is over here on the issue and this candidate is over here. Then that's what the citizens need to know.
to your phone?
Yeah, I think that is, I think that's very important.
I'm streaming
And I think
directly
that
from the
this year,
phone. This is just a
more than
battery.
any, previous
Here, what's
years,
this
I
one
think
for?
we're gonna have a
That's
lot more
digital video recorder.
I know, but
It's recording independent of all the rest of it.
okay, cool.
And then on my live stream, I connect with everybody, my team on chats, messenger and regular phone chat, and then with my listeners on the live stream. See, I'm on the live stream. I just have the volume turned down.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know if you were streaming from this to your phone and using your phone to.
No, it's the phone's the one that's actually streaming.
Yeah, so
This is streaming in 4K, by the way. So iPhone 11.
When you said about them.
It actually takes 4K, but it streams in 1080p.
Yes, I published the legal notices.
Very high definition.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
But here's the deal. I did the same thing for Helotus. When Helotus was getting sued by the builders, I put it out there, I told them how much it was costing the city, Helotus, how much the lawsuits were worth. They yanked everything and never stopped reporting on those lawsuits. I even had one council member go, where are you getting the numbers? And I'm like, I can read and I have a calculator. I have every one of the court judgments, I've added it up, here it is. You tell me where I'm wrong. And they kept saying, well, you're not being fair to us, you're not. You show me where I'm wrong and I'll write a retraction as big as the article that I put in the paper that said, you screwed us up and it cost us $1 million. So, I never let that influence my decision. I'm going to, now, you want my unfiltered opinion and we're off the record, I'll give it to you. Just like I will respect your opinion, I respect Benny. Benny can say anything that he wants to me. I think Benny trusts me enough that he wants my own off the record opinion. I will tell Benny what I'm thinking. That's the way it has to be. So Josh, what's your email?
So it's Josh at vote Josh.
Well, I don't think they're doing all that.
But I just, and I'm not putting the two recall people in this forum because that's a different animal. And not only that, I don't want to destroy the effectiveness of what I hope this candidate's going to come across. Because I don't know how else. I think you will agree with me. I hope Mr. Motto would. But when you look at the number of people that started coming to council meetings in the last month and a half, it seems to be one group of people. I want to be able to reach out so that we get everybody.
Yeah.
And it's important for you too, because there may be some people out there that already have a preconceived notion of you, or they may have a preconceived notion of Catherine Rodriguez, whatever the case may be. They need to see you in your element. They need to see you in your light of you answering the question. At the end of the day, I think it's important that they make the decision, not something that we make.
Yeah, and we were just looking at the stats. So last presidential, we're in a very awkward, we don't normally have this mix with presidential, but last presidential we had 4,400 voters.
I can say, and it may have been the last presidential. Well, we had one Leon Valley city election, and it may have been the one before Jordan and Bill Bradshaw. But the numbers were huge. I mean, huge. I looked at this and went, okay, this is a little different. So I think that the move is there for them to come out. One of the things that I wish Sandra would have been able to speak to, because I have some questions about her presentation. One of the questions that I have is on uncontested election places. The Bear County has decided that they're putting all of that stuff on the bottom.
That's what I read on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question, and I want to ask Sandra, and I'm going to ask Jackie Callahan, do they consider the recall a contested or non-contested race? Because if they consider it non-contested, then that means that the recall is dropping to the bottom.
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, it seems like it's going to be around the area where all the 28 amendments.
Well, and I mean, even if that's the case, then I question, because by that time, if I've gone through all the amendments and everything else, my brain is so fried.
I just don't understand what, I guess
that's the proper
I
place
don't
for it.
understand what
I would like to see, and that's why I'm going to ask Jackie.
That's a really good question.
I want to ask Jackie Callahan, because in my experience of looking at the ballots and doing this for a while, all of that stuff is like together. All Leon Valley is right there together. So all of it.
But you
And
seem
so
to be
typically you even
allies
have a
with this
section on the
police
ballot
department.
that, you know, they
Worldwide
will take them
people,
in order like Outlaw
like,
Heights did it.
the people
But
who
when it
follow
gets to
police
Leon
stuff,
Valley, all the
worldwide,
issues
if we
facing
pulled them
Leon
like
Valley
this,
are
the
together.
top 5 worst
So I'm gonna
police
ask Jackie if
departments,
that's changed.
like, this would be
And I
on their
know there
record.
was a comment,
It would.
here's where I get frustrated, and I'm saying this to everybody's face. There was a comment made tonight that council voted to put the election on to November 4th. Council didn't make that decision. Governor Abbott made it for everybody. There was no way that they could have had that election any earlier. That was the state that made that decision.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can tell you because in Helotes, they were throwing a fit because they wanted to have their election early. And in fact, Cynthia Massey stood up and railed in the meeting, but you didn't have a choice. The governor made that for everybody. I get it, I understand why he did it, because he needed some uniformity. Some people would be screaming about, okay, well, you had your election over here, why couldn't we? That kind of thing, I get it. That's where I wish,
Yeah.
if it's white, call it white.
Hey Josh, I've got a really long drive ahead, and I wanted to talk with you about something on camera, if that's okay.
Sure.
I want to say.
Yeah, nice image right
You know, I typically carry it with me, but I think I gave my last one out. But it's real easy, Helotes Echo, and then helotesecho@gmail.com is my email address. I can get it to my phone.
We haven't even, this is why I first got involved.
I think your brain's.
I don't think you like these too much either. But this is why I first got involved. Was this stuff?
It's weird.
Love to, I mean, we just finished today,
Just
our
everything I had in
third.
there.
They were scheming over
interview.
it.
I know, and I was thinking it
was
was like,
So has anyone heard from Will? Did
We
he make it
did
clear?
an interview with Stan Lane from Northside Athletics.
I know, that's good.
I haven't seen
Just
this truck
saying,
drive
hey,
out.
what's it going to look
I just
like,
wanted to
what's
make
it
sure
going
it's clear.
what
Are you
changes
that
are we
way, Vinny?
making,
Well, where did we
if we're gonna have
probably work
sporting
with
events, how do we keep them safe? Then last week we sat down with
Yeah,
Dr.
I was
Woods.
a little
I'm
concerned
very
there.
sorry, by the way.
Bringing 100,000 kids.
I was a little concerned there at the end.
I know,
We had all those
We're
changes.
came in and they were like, it looked like they were getting feedbacks on the
I
radio.
think part of the problem that we had is,
Yeah.
this
It's a
is where I
shame we
get
have to worry
frustrated
about
with
that.
John,
my
about
colleagues.
an hour ago, Kelly
There
stormed
seems
out
like
of
there
the
was
lobby
a
because of
narrative.
You'll love the video.
Oh.
Dude, she was storming out. Did you see that
And I
video?
felt it was necessary to make people understand. Dr. Woods was. Parents
So,
are parents are scared. What are we doing?
Again, we are live right now. What's next for you politically in Leon Valley?
And then today we met with Dr. Machuco, who was over all of my lives, talking about, okay, if I have a band kid, should I be worried about band kids and class? And he talked about the safety measures and everything, and it's different. I mean,
So there's more narratives to be told than what some people want. Well, that's one thing I'll do. I got here late, get here early, and seek out local media, newspaper, whatever, and go in and see if I can get a.
Oh, you resubmitted it? Well, I know, I saw, see, I didn't look at them until after the filing deadline, and I saw what you did, and it was too late, so I just kept quiet.
One time,
They
and
found
I
it.
watched them.
So what happened, guys, is Benny did not fill out the month and the day, or the year and the month correctly on his evening filing form, which validates that you have to be very careful with those. And I'm sorry for not reviewing those before the deadline.
Participation is limited, and I think what we have 10 seats, and then you have to go into overflow rate. And so, the only reason I showed up today and took a seat away from somebody from Leon Valley is because I knew this issue was going to be on. I wouldn't have been here if that, or not, I should say, the agenda. If that hadn't been there, I'd have sat at home, so a citizen from Leon Valley.
I noticed when you come in with your lens.
And I mean, I know the last meeting, I even sent Crystal a message that said, am I watching this live or is this thing? I mean,
Yeah, the live stream's still on my channel. I'm getting lots of comments from it. okay? I'm frustrated, and part of the reason I'm frustrated is because I haven't.
The same one or
Yeah,
the 20 times?
Same one.
So if Catherine messed hers up,
okay,
do you think,
he says
Sandra
it's
would
white,
call her before
he says it's
notarizing it?
black, you make the decision.
And Bella
I
Charles
just feel like
messed
this
hers up,
whole
do you think they would let
situation is so
her know?
charged, I haven't quite figured out how to reach people to say, okay, look,
Sandra waited a week after.
the card that Mr. Martin talked about, yes, right here, it's still right here, I told you.
Isn't that amazing?
You shouldn't have worded it.
The city administrators are the ones
Because it's
running
like,
the
he
city.
was talking about the red light cameras. And I'm
The
going,
city manager won't even pay attention.
you didn't give them the
She won't even
full-
listen while you're up there talking,
took
while
something
anyone's up there
from here,
talking.
you took something from here, and that's what you
But
did.
she did hear John actually. She heard John say
Everybody
fire
did
Joe.
it.
That kicked her off and
Tell
she
them I
marched
did.
out there. And I think the
Put it
police
out
actually
there,
said,
and
no,
if you do that,
no, you're not gonna do anything.
I will
Yes, they
fight
can.
for you every way that I can.
You know,
That's one of the things that I want to bring to
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
First
absolutely.
Amendment auditing community, much less the other civil rights auditing. But I want to bring a different level of authority, a different level of ethic, you know, and I've got the old ethics too, right? So, I've gone
So,
out
and what that is, guys,
investigative
y'all,
journalism and
remember
stuff,
they
but I
had,
wanna bring a higher level. That's why I need
1,600
to go
signatures for the
to
recall
Utah.
election. These guys canceled the election, but now in
Be happy to.
early voting
Be happy
starts
to.
early in
You
October
just
now,
tell.
and election day in November,
Doesn't even matter what, doesn't even matter what
remove
political sway.
two of the ringleaders. One is the Mayor Pro Tem Monica Alcocer, and then the other one's a newer councilwoman, and that's Donna Charles, and she came from Salvaggio Police, what is it called, Police Advisory? Citizens Police Advisory.
Yeah, write it down from here. I mean, write it on something else. This is
I
Justin's.
in there. I hope that the stream's working. I don't even know if they're really seeing me. I don't even know. But I get up there and I ask about their citations for.
And of course, my email is politicaltrance@gmail.com.
Mr. Pulliam, put your mask on. I was like, oh God, I can. Oh man, Salvaggio, are you still watching? All right, well, have a good evening, Benny. And
I got ice cream ready for me.
oh, that sounds great. All right, bye.
How many photographers you have?
Four. And that's something that we visited with Northside about because they're really wanting to try to get into doing external activities, just so they can keep the community. And last year we did some live streaming of, I think it was basketball and we did the swim meet and that kind of thing. We're also live streaming two of the stock shows, the other stock shows. So I'm big about, in fact, the Little League here, I reached out to him and I said, okay, I know a lot of Little Leagues are not doing anything this summer. I said, going to the NFL out the season. I said, to help that out, I did it free of charge, but I said, we will live stream the games, and that's what we did. So that people could,
Yeah.
stay
Walmart's.
if they need to.
Some 180 Walmarts across the nation are, you heard that? Creating a drive-in theater.
Yes, they are. Any way we can keep our community together.
Yes, sir.
I'm about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a night. You're welcome. I'm going to go get something to eat. Justin?
Where are y'all located out of?
I live in San Marcos.
Okay.
Justin's in Houston. I think Extra Good Citizens Houston. I don't know who else is around. But, you know, all the cameras that have been here over the past months have been from all over.
I've emailed him like 10 times. Everyone has to know about it.
No, I know, and I do know about it, but I'm just wondering, do you know, like, how many you have, how many violations have they been charged with by the AG? I mean, I don't know if you know.
Determined. I mean, I think 3 or 4 from the AG and 1 from the county, and see how it works. Is that first the county would just be like, oh no, they didn't do anything wrong, and then it gets to go to the Attorney General. But actually, I'm sorry, Bear County wasn't even doing that. They were just ignoring the complaints altogether. So I forwarded the stuff to the Attorney General, but then I also did complaints on Bear County. And then after that, then Bear County, on the one after that, then they said that Leon Valley broke the law. However, they said, we, the district attorney, wants information to be kept secret. Yeah.
Why?
Because they're all buddies. It's the local government club. Sorry, John. I found more people to talk to. Yeah, he's been. Did you see Kelly stomp out? Like, did you see her when she stomped out?
Like she did last time?
Somebody was yelling.
Yeah, he was
I think
yelling.
she said, "Don't open this door when that door is open." Or something.
Yeah,
I
she
don't know.
got so. She was.
What was going on in the back though when all the officers?
I don't know, but we
I was
were a little
talking,
worried.
and then I
So
saw
I
it
know
from
I
the
missed
meeting.
your whole speech because we were focused
Yeah,
on
we're
that.
watching now.
Yeah, all the viewers were like, "Oh no, they're about to. They got a pocket warrant. They're
Is
going to
yours
arrest
live
Justin."
for sure?
Oh yeah.
Okay, he's got some people watching. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, let's go get a bite to eat before y'all just take off, Justin. Councilman Bradshaw, that was a good job, man. I think it's going to work out good. That's what they say. Any publicity is good publicity.
All right, well, I think we're going to move outside of the property. So, I mean, we'll hang around for a second to film you, but then
Photo op.
we're live right now. We're very live. But the police are still around. So, you know, hey,
Thanks, Dad.
Justin, let's go get a bite to eat before y'all take off.
Okay.
Where you guys gonna go?
Well, I just don't want to put everything on here.
Yeah, I don't want to say that.
Turn this off while I'm here either. You know what I'm saying? This is like. Did you notice? Joe was in the back room pretty much the whole time. I think maybe some. But then I go, "Where's Fabio?"
He came out when you said that. He did. You didn't know he was there. He came out and he was by the door, and then you turned your head and you're like, "Oh, thanks for coming."
Yeah, that was hilarious. You know what? I thought Josh was really effective today.
I think Josh did great.
Yeah, he did fantastic, you know. And you too, man. You rocked it.
Did I do okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did good.
I know.
Through that.
No, you were smooth.
Won. Absolutely, you won tonight.
No doubt.
And they were. I mean, we've never got more information out of the city in an hour. They were just like.
That's what Alex was saying. He was talking about as soon as I started doing those laws, they started traveling CYA. Oh, we're giving you this, we're giving you that. Here you go, we're giving you.
It was kind of funny to see which thing they thought.
That's what Josh looks like.
Might apply to, because it may or may not have been what you were thinking.
And now all of a sudden I've got some information. I honestly, Sandra said she sent me something on August 6th at 11:21.
Oh, she's always so defensive.
And I never saw
She does her little delivery thing.
We're streaming. Yeah.
Mayor, I see here's a notification just got Alexandra. I didn't get it. Yeah, oh, you're lying.
You got it.
Like we would lie.
So,
no, we just want to see it.
Hold this for a second. This
But
is
they're
Jeff.
all in their conspiracy.
See if I can get my cell phone number.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, there's somewhere to eat, but don't want to say where on the cameras. I don't have any more cards.
Procedurally, they played the games I thought they might play.
Here, I'm going to...
I have the card, but I don't know if I left it in
Huh?
the wallet. If I left it at one.
Oh, I've lost my glasses here somewhere.
But it was because we are live right now. Oh man.
Definitely live.
You still rolling here too?
Yeah, we're still rolling.
So just by the mere fact that, I mean, you know, we had that discussion that went on for quite a while.
That's just Justin's.
But just their reaction.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you even handed that away.
It was such a powerful moment.
I reached and got it from
No
you.
one seconded your motion. I mean, just that silence spoke volumes after such a contentious.
All the discussion.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything wrong. We're not doing anything wrong. Just ask us.
Absolutely.
That's basically the story.
Absolutely.
Just ask us if we broke the law.
That was
Oh, okay.
so
Case
powerful.
closed.
Well, but also just the basic, just procedurally, the council is erect. No one knows, like the mayor's, and God bless her,
she's even, when she was reading that complaint, she stopped and literally there was only half a sentence left, and it was a zinger at the end, and it was saying that those women should be charged, should receive heavier punishment than the mayor, and she cut her own self off. And it's like, God bless you, Mayor, but come on, why would you not read the sentence? That was the whole point of that.
I know.
And literally the point of the whole.
And what about
the
the high tax issue, Leon Valley in comparison?
Oh, yeah, she went up against Josh. That was really annoying.
God, that's so frustrating.
And so in politics,
We're different.
in politics, there's an important thing, and it's that you. And to the extent that there is a team, and I think probably there isn't a team, unlike the city administration has all these wild conspiracy theories. But if you did have, say, a coalition, you can't go against each individual's hot button issue. And I think people on the political right might be for lower taxes. And so...
Wasn't that interesting? I think that's a very good point you bring up.
And then you're gonna... So you gotta decide which side you want to be on. And I guess maybe like... Philosophically, maybe she wants to be on the other side, but they won't have her.
But they're not gonna have
and
her.
she's trying to pander to them to the extent where she's hurting herself because they don't need her to vote philosophically that way.
Right.
They will find someone to appoint.
That's ironic. I just don't understand how she doesn't see that. You know, that's
You want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So, Councilman Bradshaw, why is it that the city manager can talk whenever she wants?
I've heard somebody else say that the city manager has mentioned she can do whatever she wants. Not just say whatever she wants whenever she wants, but she can do whatever she wants because she has the backing of the majority of the council. So
She said that out loud?
Yeah, I don't remember who told me that, but
It's through the grapevine.
told that to somebody. Yeah, so right now it would be hearsay, but I did hear somebody heard her say that she has the backing of the majority, and I think it was a staff member that said that. Anyway, but so and that's just what it is. She can get and say whatever she wants, and they'll let her. The mayor has gotten better the last few weeks, I think, of like saying you need to be recognized. I don't know if you caught it, if you saw it, but I think it was either Mr. Mata or Josh Stevens that spoke citizens to be heard, and then Salvaggio just walks up to the podium ready to talk, to rebut whatever a citizen said about him, and the mayor said, "Not now." No.
Yeah, I caught that.
So there was a time when she did shut him down too, or was he at the dais? I can't remember.
Yeah. Last meeting I was here, I heard him attack the mayor. I mean, verbally attack her, basically.
Yeah, he does. And it's funny too, think about this last meeting, and again, what I was told, Blackmore came out and threatened me. He shakes his fist and he says, "You're going to be accountable, and if anything happens to me, it's your fault. I'm going to do this." And then he gets a police escort home.
Yeah, tonight too. I don't know if they followed him home, but they walked him out to his car.
Yeah.
They did. What about the counselor?
Yeah, he almost, last meeting, he almost verbally messed up. He came close. It was not just me. There was me and two other officers that simultaneously on the back side of the glass said, "Watch it."
Really?
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, if you watch the videos, especially from my perspective, from my body camera, Blackmore's up there, he could have pulled out a gun for all I know. He's talking about the Second Amendment, how he's a firm believer and all this. And the officers are just in the back, just calm as can be. Nothing going on here. Nothing to see here.
Councilman Bradshaw, if there's a hair on my wife's head, Herm, I'm gonna...
Eric Mata gets up, or Justin, and everybody crouches in. They start coming in the doors there, I'm surprised they didn't have their clubs out, getting ready, just in case.
Oh gosh, you're in it right here now. That's going to be the next CARES Act thing. Riot gear for the police. Those city council meetings.
Oh my gosh.
And what a presence, right? There at some point, look back there, probably counted
10.
I was thinking 11
all the
or
police
more.
administration plus some officers.
Right, exactly. Detectives and fire as well. I mean, the
We
firemen are armed as
asked
well.
Milton how many paramedics or firefighters he was going to bring in. He wouldn't tell us on the phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted to try to get a firm count. Maybe he was trying to try to balance out with the PD or something. I don't know.
That was
but
when you were driving
it's
over, you talked to him, you called on the way over. Sorry, I keep on saying my name.
Yeah, that was nice. You got in that other little zinger about the what was it, the constable down here at the Justice of the Peace that y'all had called last week, telling you guys, they lie about things, or he alluded to the fact that.
This drives them crazy. This is what they've been doing the past 30 minutes. They just
Zoom.
back and forth. They can't. The officers cannot handle it. But obviously, the city attorney or someone's told them to cut the bullshit. Because Savaggio didn't decide to cut the bullshit, and Kelly didn't decide to cut the bullshit. But someone sent Savaggio to the doghouse for the past 2 meetings, and Will's not. I'm saying that, not Brad.
It does seem that way.
And the rest of the city of staff is mostly under control. Though when it got to it got a few times when they all at the end of your agenda item they all had to butt in, and they did the thing where the city secretary protects the whoever, and the assistant city manager protects the city manager.
Crystal, Sandra, the chief, everyone coming to the protection of our boss,
It's like when you do open records complaints, it's always someone else's excuse or problem, and that's why Sandra probably hates emailing with me, because I'll ask her questions like, so did Savaggio send you this? And she'll send me a page-long email that she spends an hour to write about, well, it would normally be this, and it was in my box, and I wasn't there, and I don't know who at the police department. It could have been Joe, it could have been someone else. So they're all constantly covering for each other, and they could just answer the questions.
That was so apparent, man. They were going back and forth trying to cover their boss.
And then Sandra and Kelly were actually communicating with each other a lot during that.
Who was that?
Sandra and Kelly were talking with each other.
Well, it was apparent.
Yeah, during Will's trying to.
She went over and brought some paperwork to Crystal while you were speaking as well.
And I do want to say, since we are live, I did a critique of the mayor. I will say that the mayor did a great job early on, and I didn't think that agenda item would ever be heard. That's my title of this statement: is will council investigate Savaggio? Well, the answer is no. But the agenda item was actually heard.
Yeah.
And that was a win, Will.
They tried to cut it off.
They really tried. They tried. I think they got to a point of, diminishing returns on this, where they realized it was making them look bad.
They were, and they were outnumbered at the meeting, too.
Absolutely. Great job, man. Yeah, that was...
Well, I know that the city manager is walking with constant cortisol dumps. I mean, her brain is constantly creating cortisol and dumping it in her veins. She's livid, constantly livid. I can see it.
The pressure was on her.
Yeah. And she was communicating with police chief, because at one point she needed to go out, and he came in. He knew right when to come in. It was obvious they were.
Yeah, they coordinate.
Yeah, they were coordinating.
What did you for dinner?
Half a sandwich and a salad. You want the salad? It's in my car.
We're gonna eat somewhere.
He likes his pizza, man.
You riding with John?
It was a great video you put out where you're walking up and down some road, and you're at some
at the
campaign rally.
thing,
Yeah. And you're eating a box of pizzas.
You're eating pizza?
It's the sheriff candidate who's running for Congress,
That's it.
and they have like a bar thing that's right next to the Domino's I go to. So,
perfect.
So what were they gonna say? I was just walking home like.
Looks like a hot, humid day, man. That's crazy walking.
That's
through.
every day in Fulton
Of course.
Even the minor stuff, like the box car, the derby. We can't have that vote until after we know how the election results will be. I mean, really?
You're right, and I mean, I thought that too. I saw that, but rather than cancel it outright, I'm like, at least maybe after the election we can salvage it. Because it's not going to happen in the fall, and I know that's
right.
one.
No, dude, they wouldn't have it. But even we couldn't vote in October, right? When we have to wait to see how it, if they went outright together, they'll totally control it, or So they're gonna hide just like the Lions War, they're gonna try to hijack it into a political event, and we're just like trying to get like kids civically engaged or something. And they're like, who's gonna win the election?
I think it's pretty
obvious. Everyone, I'm gonna get off of this property so I can turn my phone off and catch up with the world. And Andrew, where are you parked? Over there. Okay, I think John has your number.
Yeah, I'll call John and we'll figure out where we're going.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. All right, man.
See you next.
Taking off? Tired, huh?
See you later.
Yeah.
All right, I am headed to my vehicle. Turn my DVR off, but on the way, I'm gonna stop and look on this bench over here and see if my glasses happen to be sitting there. I've lost my glasses somewhere. Nope, they are not. So I'll call the City Hall, Lost and Found, and see if they found a pair of glasses. I may have left them in that back room. I don't know where they are. Been an interesting council meeting, y'all think, huh? The ongoing Leon Valley saga. So, I'll wait until I get into the vehicle before I kill the stream. Oh, snoozing. Hungry?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go eat. Okay. Hey everybody. Let me turn the camera around, and I'm gonna let you say hi to Sean too. My friend Sean. I'm gonna be driving Sean to California here in a few days, and I'm not gonna tell you what route we're taking, but we're going to California. I believe News Now Ninja is gonna go with us, and we're gonna be over there, and hopefully, if things work out right, we're gonna team up maybe with somebody over in that area and do some audits. So, hey, it's been fun. See y'all next time. And my friend Sean, he's cool, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, see y'all then. Bye for now.